Hi, Ricky Salinas with Freedom Plumbers and Pumpers, Septic and Drain, coming to you for a septic inspection for a real estate transaction in Gainesville, Virginia. We're already done with the inspection, so now we're going to go over everything that we found. First, we're going to start with the layout of the land. We have the rear of the house, which has a garage, house, screened-in porch, and additional structure down there. This is kind of a patio with a sewer cleanout right here. The sewer cleanout ties in to the septic tank, which is located right here. Inlet and outlet. We'll get a better angle from here. There you go, inlet and outlet. This septic tank then connects to a distribution box, which is over here. 7-line distribution box, which then serves a field of 7 lines right here. Line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All of them have been marked with flags. They're dead end points, as well as a couple items to be mentioned a little bit later. And here's the entire view of the rear of the property. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about what we did. We camera inspected the sewer lateral from the cleanout up to the septic tank. We did a flow test, 20-minute flow test on the septic tank, which also performed a 20-minute flow test on that distribution box. We camera inspected the outlet conveyance line from the outlet baffle up to the distribution box. Once we excavated and exposed the distribution box, we camera inspected and located 7 lines. That's the inlet, line 1, line 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We took the camera all the way to the dead end point of each one of those lines, or the location as far as the camera was allowed to go. And that's what we did for the inspection. What are the findings? We'll start from the cleanout all the way to the end of the field. 1. From cleanout to septic tank, the sewer is in great conditions. No defects detected, no cracks, no breaks, no root intrusions, no leaks into the pipe. Doing great. The septic tank after pump out was thoroughly inspected. All walls, cover, and floor were inspected for leaks, inward or out water seepage, meaning water exiting the tank and into the ground. This tank is not seeping out, and it is not allowing any water or any liquids to enter the tank through the walls or the floor. When it comes to the septic tank lids, however, the septic tank lids, as is typical, are concrete lids which don't have a perfect watertight seal. Unfortunately, that is a norm, so it is not a position of failure, but it is not also recommended. These lids are allowing a little bit of roots to come in, as you can see right there, through the cracks. Here's another good one right there. Okay, and those roots right now are coming from this little guy, which is parked conveniently in between the inlet and the outlet. Not supposed to be there. That needs to go. But regardless of that, the lids have no cracks, no breaks. There's nothing to be concerned about. Their handles are very healthy, very strong. So the lids are doing good. If we can just make them more watertight, that would be best. There are better ways to make this watertight. Once we inspected that, we moved into the baffles. This is the inlet baffle made out of PVC. The outlet baffle is the same exact thing. Those baffle penetration points to the septic tank are done very nicely. The concrete has no cracks, no breaks, no root intrusions, or any kind of leaks when it comes to the concrete on the inlet and on the outlet. Now, the two different inlets and outlets have a little bit of more deterioration of concrete on either side, but at this time they do pass. The outlet concrete, I'll show you. It's right there. You'll see a little bit of deterioration around here, just a little bit, right there, and just a little bit minor right over there, but not a biggie. When compared to the inlet concrete for the penetration point, looks smooth as a baby's bottom, and I'll show you. There you go, nice and smooth. No concerns on either one of these at this time. When it came to probing the bottom of the septic tank, it is rough, which means that the concrete is actually in process of deterioration. Not unusual for a tank that was installed in 1985. Again, it is watertight, so at this point, not a concern. What's very important to make sure that that concrete doesn't continue deteriorating is that its regular maintenances every 3 to 5 years take place. Okay, so it has to be inspected every 3 to 5 years or pumped out every 3 to 5 years. Preferably pumped out every 3 to 5, unless you have a very healthy bacterial growth inside of the system, then you want to test it every 3 to 5 years to see if it's ready for pump out. So there's that. Again, septic tank passes inspection. Major concern here, major concern is, it is a concern. This tree has to go. Please take it away from this area so we don't have anything threatening my septic tank when it comes to roots. All right, moving on. From the baffle to the conveyance line into the D-box. This conveyance line is Schedule 40 PVC in very good conditions. No defects, no bellies, no cracks, no breaks, no root intrusions. No concerns when it comes to that line. That line screams into this D-box right here, right there, where it dumps its water inside of this distribution box. And then this distribution box will equally spread the effluent into all of these 7 lines. And that's where the concern takes place. After doing a 20-minute flow test, this box was not distributing the fluid or the effluent equally to all lines. In fact, it was spreading it a lot more into line 1, 2, and 3, almost double the volume than the rest of the lines. In fact, very little volume was going in this line, which is line 5. A great deal of volume into those, very little to no volume here, and minimal volume to line 4, 6, and 7. 2 reasons for that is when this tank was installed, dials didn't exist. So what they did at the time of installation is that they went ahead and built their own levelers on the bottom of each one of these lines. And those levelers are not perfectly balanced. Some of these levelers are higher than the rest, which again, or lower than the rest, which again is allowing more water to enter into some areas than others. Also, the water, the effluent, as it screams into this D-box, it screams in, causing a big flash, or big splash right around here, which causes bigger waves to enter there than what it does over here. That needs to be slowed down. And how it typically gets slowed down is that there's a 90-degree drop into the water with a little bit of a hole on the top for ventilation. And that helps it slow down and kind of bleed around too. Another way of slowing down the effluent, which is most preferred here in Virginia, is installing an additional smaller box right behind the distribution box. And that's called a surge box. And that's designed to take on a splash and then allow it to bleed in to the distribution box. Nowadays, we also have plastic dials, which are hockey puck sized plastic inserts that go inside of each one of these lines. And each one of those hockey pucks, which is about this big, has a hole about this big on one side of it. And what we can do is dial it up, dial it to the side in order to allow more water in or more water to leave. More water to stay or more water to leave. So anyways, so this D-box in particular has one more issue. If you will notice, we haven't ran any water overnight. If you don't run water, the water line should be at the bottom of each one of these lines, waiting for it to get more flow and just bleed in. So that's the bottom of those lines, and the water, you'll notice, is about 1 inch lower. That indicates that the bottom of this box is not watertight, and it's actually allowing seepage out of the box. Okay, again, seepage out of the box. So this distribution box, unfortunately, has failed the inspection. All right, moving on. We have 7 lines. We'll start by line 1. Line 1 shoots straight out approximately 90 feet, dead ends directly underneath that chicken coop. It's approximately 24 inches deep. No concerns on this line, obviously, except for the fact that it's sitting underneath a structure, if at all possible, and there's nothing actually going into the ground to keep that structure in position. Let's get it out of there. That'd be nice. Nothing sitting on top of the tank, or nothing sitting on top of the lines. That would be great. Hopefully that will not be used for storing equipment or anything like that. So if we can, remove the structure. Line 2 makes a curve and heads down and ends at the end, or right next to this structure right here. Again, 90 feet long, no concerns, 24 inches deep, 9 foot on center. So what that means is that there's 9 feet between this line and that line as per the plans. So again, only 24 inches deep. Line 3 makes a circle around and for whatever reason comes back to the middle. And as it comes around this way, it has a partial collapse here and another partial collapse right here. right next to a pretty decent sized tree stump. And then from there, it continues down to about where that tree is. And I'll take you to see those flags. And it ends in between two trees. In fact, we'll go there now. Sorry if the camera's a little bumpy. Unfortunately, when you record on YouTube, there's no balancing or anything like that that cancels out your movement. So here it is, tree 1. So it goes directly underneath tree 1 and tree 2. And this is the end of line 3. These trees need to go. They're directly on top of my lines. They're gonna threaten it. Your code requires 10 foot of offset between any component of your septic system and the high level vegetation like trees. Line 4, on the other hand, has a little bit more issues. Line 4 also has a partial collapse in almost in the exact same location as line 3's first collapse. That's right here. And then it has a complete collapse right there. Complete collapse meaning I can't get through. That's line 4. Oh, hang on for a second. Oh, line 3 actually has 3 partial collapses. 1, 2, and 3. Sorry for that. So yeah, there's a collapse right there. And that's actually a complete collapse. My apologies. So line 4 has a complete collapse right there. And I did find the dead end over there with rock. Wow, am I getting confused here? All right, we're going to step back for a second. I can't stop this video. It is on YouTube. So cancel out what I said about line 3 and its correction. So again, line 3 has 2 partial collapses. We already showed them with the 2 flags. Line 2 has 1 partial and 2 partial. And then after that, it does dead end in the trees. Line 4, however, has a partial collapse right here and a complete collapse right here. I was unable to make it to its dead end, but I probed its rock. I probed. I know there's a drain field here. And I probed it all the way to its dead end, which is by that blue rod. That is a dead end, meaning that after that point, there's no more line. So I do know it's there, and it lines up with the 9 foot on centers between its next lines. Okay. Next is line 5. Line 5 also has a complete collapse, and that's right here. So it exits the D box, comes all the way around, and complete collapse right here. So that's an issue. Needs to be repaired. And then line 6 and 7. 6 and 7. No issues whatsoever. Beautiful lines. They're doing great. So that is the explanation of the drain field. Now, after flushing or after sending a hydraulic load into this drain field, and I'll switch the camera. After sending a hydraulic load into this drain field, which means running water into the septic system for about 20 minutes, we were looking for any kind of standing water in this field, and there was none. The field is very strong, very healthy, absorbing water like a champ. All of these lines were checked, and no water was standing. The only issues that each one of these lines had, that 4 out of the 7 lines had, were partial collapses or complete collapses, meaning that I could not get my camera all the way to the end, which could also create an issue for the flow of fluid, meaning that it could saturate a lot sooner. That's bad. We have to have a clear line, perfectly graded at 1 to 2% every 100 feet, all the way from the beginning to the end, so that your effluent can travel from beginning to end and not saturate this field quicker, giving it its full 20-year life plus some more. Okay, so with that being said, we do have 4 out of these 7 lines, or 3 out of these 7 lines that have actually failed inspection, and then the other lines have passed inspection. So with that being said, 1 D box and 3 out of the 7 lines that require repairs to pass inspection. Now, recommendations. Recommendations for the extended lifespan of this septic system is to upgrade your septic tank to have adequate access for regular inspection and maintenance. And what does that mean? Eliminate these concrete lids because they're not watertight, and install a plastic riser on the inlet, on the outlet. That plastic riser is to be sealed onto the concrete, making it watertight, and it'll be brought up to grade with a 30-inch lid with about 6 to 12 bolts on it on each side. And once a year, we come in and wash the filter. So that's the next upgrade. Install a filter on the outlet side. This filter will stop any kind of sludges, or what we call suspended solids, from trying to exit the tank enter the D-box and spread into the drain field, furthermore shortening the life of that drain field. Our job is to make sure that we extend the life of this drain field for as much as possible. Drain field was installed in '85, so it's already given a good life. We want to have it give it a lot more life. Okay, so a filter goes in there, which gets serviced once a year. You have an outlet riser and you have an inlet riser. We do need to have both risers because once that filter is installed, it's going to occupy well over 35 to 40% of the workable space for pumping. And what that means is that we would have to stick a hose in whatever available space we have, and we keep on bumping the filter. So it puts my filter at risk. So what has to be done is once you have an inlet riser, you service the tank from the inlet. As you're pumping the tank down, that filter gets cleaned once every 3 years when the pump out takes place, but once every year without pump out. And that way this septic tank is readily available or readily accessible for the most important parts of its maintenance: inspection, cleaning, and pumping. So that's what we got. That's it for now for this inspection. My name is Ricky Salinas. I'm with Freedom Plumbers and Pumpers, Septic and Drain. My phone number is 703-895-4109 with an email address of ricky@freedomplumbers.com and a website of www.freedomplumbers.com. Thank you very much. We'll catch you on the next one.